on the 12th level of light body, you put into practice their decision about what to do, which can be in contact with other people on the planet or any other sort of thing. Many structures need to be established before the final ascension of this planet: new state councils, new methods of government, in short all sorts of things. And you are doing all this just now, and just for being here. Remember that you are working on concurrency and just becoming increasingly aware of this. And they are doing it now. This has happened, therefore, occur. A planet begins to rise when it is created. Nothing will be lost. The whole planetary history is the Akashic record. Therefore, you do not need to keep it in the body's memory. As you can see, not every choice that is made is in accordance with the will of the spirit. The choice of agreement will eat the spirit will ultimately always occurring, but a parallel reality is created to meet the other choice. So there are quadrillions of parallel realities. There will therefore be a time when all these parallels will merge and just remain the way of the spirit from the moment of creation. The karmic game never existed except in the records. There is in you and you do not have to carry it with you. You do not carry the body or the mind or heart. What a fantastic thing! That's how you make the rise of a planet. You weave the threads of it again. Now each of those points contributing to the tissue that forms what might be called space-time. From our point of view, we see lines that go down to each of these points, through all the parallels, like hooks. The size is umbrella over time. So when you go from the 11th to the 12th level of light body is the last activation of the divine plan for planet Earth. This planet passes into the light, out of this dimension and is taken to a multi-stellar system. All are in the body of light and follow the spirit, recognizing their sovereignty and absolute power. So, all the way back becomes the return expression, at all levels of identity and be of you as you return and go through the experience of Source. Questions P and responses R. Question: are there any other symptoms of this change? R. It is common to a time when the food is not food taste. You may feel hungry all the time, but when they eat, the body does not register the intake of food. This is because the light body was sufficiently activated, so you need also light as a nutrient. There is a trick that solves this problem. It seems strange, but it works like magic. Form a triangle with both hands, palms facing the sun, thumbs touching to form the base and the indicators forming the sides and the vertex. This works as an antenna and as a prism for the light behind the light. Be careful to do this for about 15 minutes. You will feel the body is flooded with light and satiated. Also eat everything that the body asks. Throw away the dead books. You are here to follow the spirit, not spiritual revenue. If you hate shoots, but the body is missing them, eat them. It is possible that some of you feel very inclined to drink alcohol, especially beer, because they contain certain components that the body needs to change. Dispense all prescriptions about what should eat because you may end up eating really weird things, like spinach with cinnamon. You will find that the sleep pattern becomes extremely irregular. He can jump 2 hours of sleep a day to 12, and vice versa. It is possible that you also wake up tired. Remember that are multidimensional beings, and who work hard sleep. As you increasingly expand awareness of themselves on other planes, the physical body is tired, as if performing this work. Therefore, say to yourself, please, take a break. Or I need a rest. Remember that you are controlling the speed of the process of light body. The more light you breathe, but quickly the process moves forward. A very simple basic exercise is the technique of the unification of the chakras. This exercise increases the light body, allowing the system of chakras function as the light body and helping the energy bodies to gradually reach the state of fusion. We suggest that you practice it several times a day to get used. Then, with the simple order unify, the unification occurs instantly. You will reach a point where it will remain naturally in this state. And when they depart from it, will have a strange feeling. If you feel that the outside world is too crazy, just say unify. If realized they are absorbing a lot of external power, it is because the chakras and energy bodies of you are not unified. Another thing you can do is to invoke the power of grace to your life. The energy of divine grace is the most powerful tool that exists on this planet. Grace wrapped the planet Earth and its energy is available to all of you. The Elohim of grace, a remarkable entity, will to you whenever they want. Grace is the Elohim of silver lightning and its energy is visible in the form of iridescent snow. It looks like a magic powder. So, if they notice that dust around, know that grace is with you. Grace is the divine power that enables them to completely break with the past at any time. We urge you, please, do not try to do everything themselves, or try to fix themselves. The universe recreates itself around the images you make of reality, absolute and impersonal way. If the vision you have of reality there is something wrong with you and what needs to be repaired, the universe will rebuild around it ad nauseam. You will want to solve all the problems of this life, all the other lives that have had here and then on other planets until they reach the height of wanting to solve the problems of the planet itself. Please stop it. The power of grace is on this planet, so this is all unnecessary. Use this power, please, it is the greatest good that you have. Use the power of grace in all aspects of life. You may rely on it to fix the car. If it breaks down, invoke grace, the engine, please. We call this power of divine lubricant. Merlin calls the cosmic Christ. There's a reason for that. Remember those tetrahedral energy field that are trapped in karmic patterns? If you are attached to someone and call upon the power of grace, the iridescent snow will fall on those tetrahedrons and release them immediately. You can resort to grace for everything and grace will be happy to help them in every possible way. After all, this is the divine expression of it. If you are catching wanting to solve everything alone, please stop and call on the grace. One of the patterns that we see it repeated again and again on this planet is as follows. If only I could such a thing in my life, so I could ascend to the light. Very well, I have news to tell you. While trying to adjust, you will not get nowhere. Now you are exactly what are multidimensional masters in various stages of the awakening process. There is nothing to fix. It is simply to open up, wake up, to remember and to express themselves. This is Ariel's lesson. We were known to ask people to stop doing that. We see so many of the light workers struggling and wallowing in all that is trouble imaginable. This is totally unnecessary, and you do not have time. This planet is moving too fast for you to redeem the personal karma and its limitations. Karma is only an illusion of karmic game and you are the leaving behind. There is a difference between invoke the grace and lie denying everything. We are not suggesting that deny any part of your reality. When you have access to different parts of the consciousness of the physical body or the human genetic consciousness, many things will be removed from the body of you such as shame, guilt, fear and despair. We need to purify the human genetic consciousness. This task would never end if you will occupy each life separately, constantly reliving the past. Grace is always now. If you are always participating with the Spirit in the now and let the Spirit lead them to human genetic consciousness, you will express themselves from the realities of the physical body. This process is still being guided by the power of grace, which allows you just let the whole thing happen. Express and move forward. The attitude of wanting to solve everything alone keep them imprisoned in the past, analyzing it and trying to predict the future. They will never be in the now. So call upon grace. We are talking as if the process light body was linear, but it is not. In our view, it is a totally non-linear process. Each of you has a unique tonal characteristic, a personal tone. The body of light is a rope. So, if you are, for example, on the 7th level, they may experience an original resonance of self that is at the 3rd level, which could make them have symptoms similar to the flu. They can also feel the resonances I, which is the 9th level, and, if so, begin to see and hear sounds, geometric shapes. Thus, while the process of light body has a generic standard, it is also an experiment which you all participate. Everyone does it in their own way while expressing the divinity itself. We find it very interesting and exclaim, "What a nice plot! What most interesting thing to do!" We think that to make a planet move to the light is a fun, electrifying. That is why we are engaged in this process. We hope that you soon may also feel it this way. All you have done this thousands of times, and it is what they have been doing for a long time. Imagine how you will do it this time is fun. The melody of the light body, played by each of you, is unique. And that's what makes it so engaging. Each time you take a body type to the light, the experience is completely new. What happens each time a planet passes into the light depends on the density, the species and the collective consciousness of the planet. He does not always ascend to the light, even if its inhabitants do. What makes it particularly special, planet Earth, is the fact that he is ascending to light, is why this planet is the target of much attention. To help the planet in the process. That was the promise made to the planetary consciousness when she agreed to be the venue of this karmic game. Exactly at this time, it is being removed from the planet an important standard we call pattern of hostility. In September 1989, the planet set aside their standard of hostility to humanity. This means that it no longer feels it needs revenge on the population. This prevented many disasters occur, provided even occurring natural disasters, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, floods, the number of casualties will be much lower. The material losses, however, can be massive, to indicate that you need to let go of material possessions. There is another thing with which you can work. There are moments in the process of the light body in which the function of the brain is altered and you may experience headaches. You can minimize it by collaborating with the expansion of the pineal and pituitary glands, because this is a natural fact that will have to occur. In the state of meditation, close your eyes and focus on the point between the eyebrows. This can cause them a slight headache, but after some time, we cannot determine, you certainly see a strong flash of light, just as the pineal gland begins to exercise its function. To collaborate with the expansion of the pituitary, return attention to the posterior region of the brain until they see a flash of light. This indicates that the changed pituitary function. These exercises will relieve headaches and contribute to the expansion of the pineal and pituitary glands. What determines the level of activation of the light body is a tonal color sequence. The whole process of light body can be expressed in patterns of tones, colors and geometric shapes. You can see these patterns during meditation, when the spirit acts on the energy bodies. When paying attention to the sounds, you will find some nice, and it means that these sounds are for you. Those who are not so nice are meant for other people. P. The parallels also undergo a process of ascension. A. Free will, in the context of karmic game, means that you can choose to do something that is not according to the will of the spirit. Whenever this occurs, it created a parallel reality that follows the will of the spirit. This occurs every time you make a choice that goes against the will of the spirit. As you awaken and begin to follow the spirit, they are no longer created new parallel, and those that were created by previous choices you end up merging. You are going through a daily fusion of thousands of parallels on this planet. When all the parallels have merged, all that remains is the reality that reflects the will of the spirit, from the beginning of creation. So there has never been something like karmic game. From our perspective, every now is a fiber fabric that form the whole, which you call space and time. We see power lines penetrating through each now all parallel. They're like hooks into the third dimension, which alchem this dimension to a higher dimension, through time. You will begin to realize themselves through time and also in line point that is now. When most people are on the 9th level light body, this plan are you not find more in linear time. You will exist concurrently and understand the joke with respect to past lives. All your lives resonate to each other through time and space. When any of the personalities of you chooses the light, it affects all others throughout the timeline and all parallels. This, in turn, affects all people with whom these persons contacted. Consequently, a single person who chooses to follow the spirit affects the entire history of the planet. There are 7 to 8 million of light workers on this planet. Just think what we can all do. Anything. Since we follow the spirit, there is nothing we cannot do. Q. What aspects of the process through which passes the Earth differs from ours? A. The planet has been activated to the 3rd level light body on April 16, 1989. He moved to the 7th level in January 1993, to 8th on May 30, 1994, and the 9th on October 15, 1994. As you can see, all the divine plan is accelerating incredibly. The Earth is getting rid of all reality images. Have you noticed all the recent news and TV shows that talk about events of the past? Let us remember the World War. These historical perspectives have to do with the fact that the planet is getting rid of consensual reality pictures. He is releasing whole bales of experiences that have been inculcated throughout the course of karmic game. Another constant feeling that you will have will be that something is about to happen. Depending on the view you have of life, it can be immensely uncomfortable or extremely pleasant. Well, everything is changing. The polarization is increasing. The planet itself feels like you are experiencing the ups and downs typical of manic depressive. One moment he says, "Wow, I'm becoming a star." And the other, "Oh, no, we will all explode." The planet is requiring people to abandon completely the pattern of hostility. So, suddenly, a wave of anti-Semitism began to tour Europe. This wave will not last, because there is no pattern of hostility to sustain it. It is more an expression of that action. You will find as international events follow a different trend, as are most forms of expression then stalks properly. Create a war and keep it as action, but express hatred. No, since hatred is expressed, it usually dissipates, because there is no etheric standard to support it. All hostility standards are being removed from the planetary structure and of all people. All separation standards between us and them are being removed from the energy field of people. All kinds of new ideas are being introjected into the collective consciousness. There are workers of light everywhere. How many of you watched Alien Nation? This film made a great preparatory work. Many things are invading the collective consciousness to enable new ways of thinking, living and relating. We like the slogan of Apple Computer Company. His parents gave him the world. Give your children the universe. There are all the work of Star Trek The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine in order to show people the nature of the multiple realities and the nature of time and space in relation to consciousness. This work has been extremely important. In the episode First Contact Star Trek, this was the delicate diplomacy required to invite a planet to join the galactic community. In Transfiguration, Abing becomes Lightbody at the helm of the Enterprise spaceship. You will notice that many codes are appearing in music. The message of rave is extremely strong. It enables people to meet in order to get in touch with the awareness and increase the energy of the planet. The celebration through their bodies. At the same time, hate messages are transmitted in other types of music. The polarization increases. The feeling that this time permeates the whole planet is, what the hell is going on? So, we ask you to be kind, because the elimination of old images makes scary things. The planet itself is surfacing a bit of fear. We ask you to firm above the planet, and not in it. The planet is changing, and if you take hold it will be disturbed. You cannot demand it at this time to take charge of stabilize them. He is suffering strong pressure to stabilize yourself. In fact, what you can do is help you stabilize, anchoring in the spaciousness of the spirit, then act as a hub for this energy. This allows the planet to stand it on its spaciousness. Q. What is descent? A. The descent occurs when a superior aspect of the spirit takes up residence in your body. Usually, you have channeled before this higher aspect, contacting more of the amplitude of you. Descents occur throughout this process of mutation. The experience can be as soft as a good revelation, just as a well-being great that lasts for days, or extremely disturbing. It can cause them to question who you are, why you are here and what they are doing. Something terrible might happen during the descent is to see the entity itself flying through the window. The more rigid are the ideas about who you are, the harder it may become the descent. If the ideas they had about themselves are more flexible, it can simply be something like, well, who I am today. And the reality today is, the easier it is a descent, less jarring it is. All of you have experienced it at least once because it is a natural part of the process. Usually undergoes a descent when it enters the 3rd, 6th and 9th level, and they vary. Some people think they are walk-ins, but this is not true. Some descents can be so dramatic that look like a walk-in. This is happening more often because people are experiencing more intense descents. Q. We contribute to changing the world? A. Certainly. Remember that the universe recreates itself according to the ideas that you do from reality. If the idea to make is that the planet is being polluted and destroyed, you know what happens? We'll have polluted and destroyed planet. If you have the idea of a wonderful planet that purifies itself and provides livelihood to its inhabitants by extraordinary means, this is the planet that will. Therefore, we ask you that focus on the beautiful and positive side of things. Living in the fear of depletion of the ozone layer will not help at all. Only will cause the hole is even greater. The hole is to be there, to let the forces and divine rays come more easily to Earth. There are many things you can do to help the planet, how to plant trees and take out the trash, without fear or guilt. Fear can immobilize them. Turn that feeling in hand to help the planet. Gardeners learn to be divine. Sow some love seeds, grow new shoots of truth and reap the fruits of the divine will. Q. Were there any event in the angelic plan that coincided with the full manifestation of grace energy? A. There were many events. Basically, the energy of grace wrapped the planet as part of the global network structure in September 1989. Passages will be opened every month going forward and you get used to it. Are passages that will allow them access to different energies and technologies, new information and new aspects of the spirit itself. Every one of you, and to the planet itself, are being established all connections with that part of you that is already in the body of light. If you do not resist the way and let the energy flow through you, it will be something wonderful. If resist change, energy will be blocked in the field of you. We note that the human being has a strong tendency to live in the future and appears inclined to consider things in terms of events. One of the problems we see in some groups living on the planet is the constant expectation that a passage will open. We would like to say that all the time passages are open, and that is much more effective to maintain awareness in the now, in this moment, with the spirit. Those whose attention is focused on a possible opening of this or that passage at some point in the future, often leave to see the miracles that occur at this time. Q. How does the process light body affects animals? A. Many species are choosing to leave the planet at this time, because the Devic consciousness declined to keep your specific body type of the body of light. She wants something different. There's nothing wrong with liking of other species and to worry about them, but remember that every conscience knows what is happening. In most species, the body is not suffering from the symptoms of change. It's changing course. They do not need to integrate their plans as the human species, because they never came to separate them. The only species that has problems is the domestic dog. Cats are good. Its function is in fact assist in this process. They are excellent channels and the spirit of all feline species agreed to collaborate with the rise of humans, so it is very nice to have them around. Let them sleep with you if you want. Dogs and cats were polarized to cooperate with the maintenance of poles, respectively the old and the new world. Dogs are absorbing a lot of energy being released while the cats are bringing new energy. It seems that the dogs are having more problems with parasites, so that need greater attention. Make the invocation water on the containers of food and water the animals. P. The axial tunnel lines on the axis is a natural property of a balanced energy field. How these lines contribute to the demonstration? A. It is the spirit that manifests. You have a connection with the upper networks. Through the pivot points, the axial tunnel body lines of you bind to the crystal networks that exist across all dimensions. So when the spirit desires manifest instantly, the lines are activated in all dimensions simultaneously. In the 8th chakra patterns, the lines have to align a formation similar to the crystalline grid. The axial tunnel lines are connected through the 8th chakra and move on to the networks of different star systems, both in the universe and the universes of other source systems. The active spirit these lines to their own amplitude manifest even more through the body, which in turn activates more lines, allowing a higher dose of the spirit is manifested through him, and so on. Well, when the grid system is established, there is an activation in the 11th chakra, the gateway to the I Am Presence. When standards are tuned and connected to networks, there is the manifestation of all the divine qualities. But to do that, the person will have to go through the Mind Christ Supreme, otherwise your body will be burned. By passing the 8th level of light body, you open up to the codes of light and begin to decipher them. When you do not understand something, just give passage to the spirit and let the sounds traveling through the body of you. This will decode the hidden knowledge in the depths of field of you. So just let the sound pass. The sound is coming from higher dimensions and the body of you is being used as a tool. You do not have to do anything. The spirit does all the work. Q. What does having a strong whistling in the ears? A. It's probably an entity of higher dimensions trying to get in touch with you. Stay totally calm and say, I am open to receive your message, and let it come. You may hear sounds, words or melodies. The Council of Ein-Sof created the break ritual conscious vote to speed up the mutation in here into cleaning. This ritual will remove all the etheric crystals. Practice it with friends of yours. Breaking aware of votes. Say aloud right now, I'm breaking all the vows I made to live the illusion of unconsciousness. As bearer of the light of my bloodline, I break those votes on my behalf and on behalf of all my ancestors. Revoke and nullify those votes depriving them of value for this incarnation and all other through time and space, parallel realities, of parallel universes, alternative realities, alternative universes, of all planetary systems, all origin systems of all sizes and vacuum. I ask to be freed from all the crystals, mechanisms, ways of thinking, emotions, dyes, disguises, cellular memories, ideas about reality, genetic limitations and death. Now, according to the law of grace and decree of victory, by decree of victory, by decree of victory, the will of the Spirit, asked awake. The will of the Spirit, I'm awake. In the beginning, I am that I am. What is light body? Message from Archangel Ariel channeled by Tashira Tachiren. This PDF is dedicated to the light workers who follow the Spirit every breath of air that inspire and every step they take. Those who are dedicated to personify the deity and live heaven on earth. Dedicated to serve with joy, courage and dedication to the cosmic game. And that deliver a seamless, beautiful and entrancing vision of planetary ascension, which is especially highly pleasurable. Light Team is invincible.